A shelter isn't somewhere that you build a life. It's somewhere that you wait, somewhere temporary that you go waiting for the storm to pass. And indeed, the word shelter as a noun has connotations towards it. If you are staying in a shelter, then it normally means that something has gone wrong. The noun shelter, when used as a verb to shelter someone, can have both positive and negative connotations. A sheltered existence, either from a caregiver or somebody that you love, or parent, or a partner. To be sheltered sometimes means to be kept away, to not fulfill your true experience of life. Whereas in the positive, offering somebody shelter can protect them at a time when they need it the most. With that in mind, I've just released a new design of t-shirt over on my merchandise store. All the details will be below that t-shirt. If anybody does want to buy it, all of the profits from that will go to the charity Shelter, which provide information, advice and protection for people who are having trouble with housing in the UK and the north of Ireland. Absolutely no obligation, obviously, but if you do fancy getting some sweet ass merch and also helping out a charity in the process, you are very welcome. And actually, before I get into the meat of this video, I would like to say a thank you to everybody who supports me as well. On screen now are all of my members on Ko-fi. Now, obviously, if you become a member, you get access to thousands of hours of additional videos, of VODs of the live streams. You get to vote on what live streams we do next. Indeed, over the next few weeks, you'll be voting on what videos I'm going to do next, and you get access to the members-only community-led Discord as well, where we talk extensively about music and art and theatre and love and grief and all of those things that we've rather grown to expect from listening to or absorbing or interpreting the greatest piece of musical theatre I've never seen, known as Sleep Token. So a big thank you to everybody for supporting me over on Ko-fi. Honestly, you have no idea how much it means to me, and I promise that as long as you guys are there, I will continue giving back as much as I can. But going back to Shelter, the song, obviously Shelter, released by Sleep Token in June 2020 as part of the deluxe edition of Sundowning. I would like you for a moment to remember exactly where you were, exactly how June 2020 really felt. What was actually happening? And I don't mean this in terms of the Sleep Token lore or the Sleep Token timeline, nor do I mean it in a political sense either. Just when thinking of where you were in the world, how did we feel emotionally when this song came out? Because you couldn't hug anyone, you couldn't go and see bands, there were no festivals, there was no contact. In a very strange way, there was an inability to both shelter and be sheltered. Because I think before we analyze or discuss any piece of art, it's useful to ask quite a simple question. What was happening when the world first encountered it? Because context here, I think, is king. I believe that every song has two birthdays. It has the day that it was written, the day that it was conceived, and it was brought to life by the people that created it, and the other birthday, rather like, you know, the queen or the king has, you know, an official birthday and a real birthday. There is the second birthday, when it is given out to the world. It is given to us to interpret ourselves. Each song, every song, doesn't exist in a vacuum. It exists in a moment in history, and sometimes that moment can change the way we hear it and the way that we interpret it ourselves. So then, why don't we talk about Shelter as much as we do all of the other songs from the albums? Is it because it's from the deluxe album? Is it because it doesn't have a music video, although not a lot of Sleep Token songs do have music videos? Is it because it isn't heard live very often, really, apart from the Lafayette performance? And I must mention at this point as well that there is going to be a companion video to this for my members on Ko-fi, where I'm going to dissect the live performance from 2022 at Lafayette in London, the very small From the Room Below performance, which actually this song isn't just called Shelter, it's called Shelter in brackets From the Room Below. And maybe that in itself is quite beautiful, because Sundowning, as it existed, the album, even if we do have a prologue with The Night Does Not Belong to God and an epilogue with Bloodsport, it feels complete. There is a house built there, and yet Shelter seems to live literally in the room below, and is one of the reasons that we don't discuss it as much as we do other Sleep Token songs, because it's not part of the lore. Or is it? But that is made up by us anyway. That's what I always say. Everything that I tell you today, my interpretations, could all be bollocks, because we've invented this lore. We have a few key moments from what I refer to as the sacred text, the interviews that were conducted at the very beginning of Sleep Token's inception as a band, at the beginning of their career as this piece of musical theatre. But this is all invented by us, and we've become very good as Sleep Token fans at looking for lore. But Shelter, there hasn't been a lot of talk of protection up till this point. And maybe that's part of the reason why this gets overlooked, or why even a lot of people think, because it exists alongside the cover, if you like, the cover of their own song Bloodsport, From the Room Below, the Billie Eilish cover, the Whitney Houston cover, and then Shelter. But Shelter's so fucking beautiful. And perhaps Shelter is overlooked, or isn't overlooked because it lacks meaning. Perhaps sometimes it's overlooked because it kind of refuses to announce itself in terms of the lore, while the album itself, while the 12 songs that have existed so far in Sundowning rather sing and they scream sometimes, Shelter whispers. So this video about Shelter today isn't necessarily a reaction or an analysis. It's a bit of an investigation. Where does Shelter live? Is it the last page of Sundowning? Is it the first page of This Place Will Become Your Tomb? Is it neither? Is it both? Is it just a love song? And when I say just, please don't think that I'm being demeaning. I think that Shelter is one of the most beautiful and heart-wrenching Sleep Token songs in their entire catalogue. And when we talk about lore, what do we mean? Does it mean we're talking about gods or masks or rituals or sleep or a protagonist called Vessel? Or is it about the emotional journey? And if it's about that, then fucking Shelter is essential. Why are the lyrics different in the live performance at Lafayette? Why have conscious choices been made? Because it doesn't sound like it's a mistake. It sounds like the context of this song, whenever it was written, either in 2019, early 2020, obviously released in lockdown in June 2020. By the time we get to 2022, maybe its meaning, maybe its context has changed, because if it doesn't live in the lore, can it be changed? I mean, of course it fucking can. He wrote it, he can do what he wants. But the more time I spend with this song, the less interested I am in finding definitive answers. It's more about asking better questions. It sits very quietly in the room below while a storm rages above. It almost shelters itself. And it is ultimately one of the few Sleep Token songs that I can really believe is about safety. It is. A lot of Sleep Token songs are about obsession and longing and addiction and dependency and surrender and kind of emotional destruction. But fundamentally, Shelter is built around a different idea. It's not about possession. It's about protection. And up till this point, that's quite unusual. Anyway, we shall discuss at length over the course of this listen through and the dive into the lyrics today, just what Shelter is. And if you've never watched one of these videos before, hello, welcome. I talk a lot about music here on this channel, but I talk about Sleep Token an awful lot because I think that, as I've said, it's the greatest piece of musical theatre I've never seen. It has a cast of characters, and it is so open to interpretation. It is given to us as an offering for us to interpret. I just think that Shelter has never really been given the credit as a song. And I know it's just the man behind the mask with the piano, but there is so much to pull out of this. Beautiful lyrics, really kind of clever pre-Sitzprobe musical theatre kind of writing in the right hand, in particular on the piano, which we'll get into. We're going to listen to it in a moment. But yeah, I just thought I would say that because I don't think that Shelter gets the credit it deserves. And maybe it does just sit on its own. And maybe it isn't lore-based. Maybe it isn't. But there is a protagonist here. There is someone who's speaking to another character, wanting to shelter them. Anyway, look, let's get into it. So, from the bonus tracks from Sleep Token's Sundowning, released in 2020, alongside Bloodsport from The Room Below, the Billie Eilish and Whitney Houston covers I Want to Dance With Somebody. This is Shelter from The Room Below. So just before I click play here, we're going to listen to it together as well, then a breakdown of kind of some of the musical elements and also the vocal production as well, and why that's so important, and then we shall go through the lyrics. But as there is no music video today, I thought we'll just have a look at the lyrics as we go along, and maybe you can make your own interpretations as we move through the song. So here we go.
When it rains, you don't take shelter, you don't take signs from God. When you can't swallow your demons, you become starving. Darling, I'm noticing your flaws. They're exactly what I want, even if you won't believe me. Know it. As you become part of my waking rituals, I can tell. You gather up all of my demons, you become starving. Darling, I'm noticing my flaws, and I'm matching them with yours. Won't you take me where you're going this time? And no matter the cost of rain, I will shelter you all the same. And no matter the cost of rain, I will shelter you all the same. And now and then I notice you laughing at perfect death. And then you change, suddenly hollow, you become starving. Darling, we must have met before, though I could not say for sure if we knew what we were in for. No matter the cost of rain, I will shelter you all the same. No matter the cost of rain, I will shelter you all the same. And no matter the cost of rain, I will shelter you all the same. No matter the cost of rain, I will shelter you all the same.
Fucking hell, let's try and break it down then, shall we? Okay, so let's go through this musically quite specifically, because there are a bunch of really nuanced, really interesting things that happen in Shelter from the Room Below, which the first happens before the song even starts with this.
What?
I think it's an F sharp. You can hear the bell note. Okay, so let me explain what a bell note is. In musical theatre, if you're going to start a song with no accompaniment, goodness me, that's a hard word to say. Accompaniment. Somebody accompanying you. If you're just going to start the song dry, for want of a better term, where you have to pick the note out of essentially nowhere, you will, depending on how large scale the show is, how whether it's a cabaret thing, it might be quite free and easy. Whether or not in musical theatre, you might have it fed to you through in-ear monitors. Very, very rare, unless you're doing like a very large scale like rock musical. But a bell note is the note that is played underneath, that only you are meant to be able to hear, so that you can pitch your first note. Now, there are two fascinating things here. One, we get the remnant of the bell note just coming through at the very start of this, from the acoustic piano where this is recorded, and it's recorded beautifully as well. I think it's two floating mics over the top of it, and there might even be like an additional mic there as well. But we just get the bell note creeping through. We can hear, he's same with Bloodsport from the Room Below. The man behind the mask is right on this microphone. We can hear all the nuances, the breaths, the swallows, the moisture, every little crack and whisper is exposed here. That is rather the beauty of from the Room Below, is that it is so intimate. And there is another technique that our protagonist, the man behind the mask, uses here after the bell note fades away. I'll explain it to you.
When it rains.
So the first line of this song is, "When it rains, you don't take shelter, you don't take signs from God." When. When it is very difficult to, with just a bell note, to come on to a note, which I think is an F sharp here. When it rains, it's very, very difficult to find that. So what a lot of singers will often do is you will add an or an ng, either an M or an ng sound, to lead you into, normally an M, to lead you into the note. And that's why it sounds like when it rains. It doesn't do it so much on the live performance from Lafayette. Again, if you would like to watch that, you're very welcome to become a member on Ko-fi. I will be giving that to my members there as a thank you for their unending support. But just listen to what he actually sings is when it rains. It really.
When it rains, you don't take shelter, you don't take signs from God.
And this is very jumpy. Signs from God. We're not sitting in a nice little pattern between three notes here, where we're jumping almost like octave jumps. So the idea that we get the bell note just bleeding through when it rains, and then obviously the piano supports it there. It's just a really useful little technique. Now, if you were going to make a full studio recording of this, I would hazard that it is unlikely that you would leave something like that in. But because of the situation, because of it being from the room below and it being so intimate, leaving that there, like we did in EP 1 and 2 with the creaks of chair, it adds a level of intimacy to it. It is. You know, I often talk about how imperfections are so fucking sexy. Like, I like hearing the notes between the notes. I like hearing the slides. I like hearing the humanness of it, not the perfection, the imperfection, because that's where the humanity lives. And particularly in this, I think it's so important to have that there, because it adds to the drama of it, the performance of it, by leaving in those new, as I said before, like those nuances.
When you can't swallow your demons, you become starving. Darling, I'm noticing your flaws.
Even the way he says can't, it's a very strange pronunciation. It's not a very British can't. It's like he's chewing it as he says it.
When you can't swallow your demons.
It's that wolf jaw coming back again, where his placement of the note means that his jaw is when you can't. It's not when you can't. I'm being a little bit musical theatre with my presentation of that. When you can't, it has become a calling card of colloquially known as Vessel, the man behind the way that he shapes these vowels, and it becomes in itself almost like a new, I don't know, earworm of the song outside of just the melody itself.
You become starving, darling, I'm noticing your flaws. They're exactly what I want.
Word, not what I want. Word I want. It's the shape of it. It's so fascinating because it adds so much character to it. And I realised that yes, one can argue he is portraying a character in the lore, in the vessel being in love with a god called Sleep, or at least worshipping them. But it adds so much to the character of this. I know people often refer to him as a siren, but I just think it's a very clever, very well thought out, and also perhaps something a lot of us learn how to sing from emulation. We listen to other, like in my case, I wanted to sound like Jeff Buckley, and then I wanted to sound like Corey Taylor, and now I just sound like a weird musical theatre version of both of them. Do you know what I mean? Like, so you combine all of those the things that inspired you, but there is a touch of the Buckley with this, that so often he will choose these not odd, just different, interesting shaped vowels that add so much more character to the song.
Even if you won't believe me,
We'll get into the lyrics in a moment.
know it.
Pat Saban, my fucking classical voice coach, she'd big tick in the box there for making sure that we closed off and it didn't become you kind of get a little D where your tongue moves towards it. But the fact that it's so small and so intimate, that those tiny little consonants, they mean so much more, and it brings a level of intimacy to it, even beyond the production.
As you become part of my...
So it's as you become, not as you become. I've not got perfect pitch, but I know some fucking notes. As you become. Vessel, the man behind the mask, is very good at making melody lines singing bloom. As you become. It blooms into the beginning of the line rather than it just being, here are the notes. It's there's color and character to every single one of these nuances, and that's why I think it works so well.
As you become part of my waking rituals, I can tell you gather up all of my demons. You become starving, darling. I'm noticing my flaws, and I'm matching them with yours. Won't you take me where you're going?
It's not going this time. Going. Fuck right off.
This time.
Little flutter.
And no matter the cost of rain, I will shelter you all the same.
It's a bit Jason Robert Brown again.
And no matter the cost of rain,
Oof.
I will shelter you all the same.
Same. There is a little blow through the nose at the end of that as well, like almost like a huff. I know Artie does it sometimes, where he doesn't. It's not quite. It's not. You know how dogs bark in stages. I don't know if anybody, if you've got a dog. Oh shit, wrong one. If any of you has got a dog, you'll know that sometimes they'll start off by going, and then eventually it'll become. And there'll be a little bit more behind it, and then it's going to come slightly out through their mouth as well. But there is just an ever so slight, not a plosive, it's just a little release. And because the only reason that we can hear all of this is because it is so tight, it's so close, it's so very, like I said, intimate.
I will shelter you all the same.
We have the
Now and then I notice you laughing at perfect death, and then you change, suddenly hollow, you become starving. Darling, we must have met before, though I could not say for sure if we knew what we were in for.
So we have that F sharp kind of just pulsing in the background, and it's almost like the driving force of the verse. But I just want to go back a little bit to
before, though I could not say for sure if we knew what we were in for.
If we knew what we were in for. That little slide, and I'm being quite legit with the way that I'm saying it here. But if you just listen to how quickly it just flicks up there, and then the piano settles, so sonically we remove some of that movement, and it just pulls back a little bit. It's so lovely. Let me just play.
And before, though I could not say for sure if we knew what we were in for.
What we were. And then when it rectifies onto that, again, I think it's an F sharp major. God, this sounds terrible. Yeah, so we swell and then we get small again. And we swell, we blossom and retract. We bloom and die. And when you've just got a piano, and when you're just, because this is how one can imagine, you know, a man in his mask sat at a piano in his pants, underpants for the Americans, because that's we all write our best songs in our pants. So the dynamics of the song, when you think about the potential that Alkaline for the first time, when he was like, lads, stop doing paradiddles, come over here, listen to this. And I can imagine that unless he recorded a demo at home, which is quite possible as well, and I'm being somewhat facetious with this, but playing these songs on the piano. And that's why Lafayette is such a fascinating performance, hearing them stripped back to how they would be like if you were, and I, again, speaking from my background, in rehearsals for West End shows, fucking the biggest drama schools in the world, fucking tours, Broadway, whatever. You start the song with just you and a pianist. You don't get the full orchestration. You get a bloke playing din 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 no La Homer where the wind, and it's just a bloke. It's just Peter Roberts. It was for me. Fucking God, I love that man. But yeah, it's just you and a pianist, or maybe you're just the pianist as well. And particularly when you write songs at the piano, in the same way that I will never subscribe to AI music will never succeed in the way that real music can, because you can't feel ivory under your fingers, you can't feel the pedal against your foot, you can't feel steel underneath your fingers, you can't nuance in the same way. You can't write a prompt that is going to give you the nuance that you can get from sitting there and going, I'm gonna feel every bit of this.
No matter the cost of rain,
lovely little.
I will shelter you all the same. No matter the cost of
Rain. It's a very 90s, noughties pop riff, that. It's a little bit Leona Lewis, a little bit Christina Aguilera. I know, that's weird. You wouldn't expect anyone to be fucking talking about that, but I am. Because that's where it comes from. And you can tell that these influences, this man, the guys who wrote this music have been influenced by so much more than just prog, just metal, just R&B, just pop music. There are so many little, very cultured musical choices that are made, in particular when one is so exposed in an environment like this, when one is just sat at a piano with your voice. And so you have the freedom to fill the gaps. That's one of my favorite things about Fleetwood Mac, is that they knew exactly what their job was to do when they wrote Rumours, again, the best advert for taking cocaine ever. It's a fucking horrible drug. I'm being facetious. When they each came to record their parts, they left room for where the drums had to drive, or where the bass was important, or where the harmony lines were, or where Lindsay's voice had to come through, when Lindsay's guitar, where Stevie had to be. That was, they were all very clever and cultured and musically articulate and intelligent. And you can tell that even just by listening to this with one man and his piano, that, and again, going back to why the Lafayette performance is so fascinating, because you can hear man, piano, 3 BVs, and I will never stop raving about how utterly brilliant Aspera are and how much they add to Sleep Token's live performance.
I will shall see you all the same, yeah, yeah. And no matter the cost of rain, I will shall see you all the same. No, no matter the cost of rain, I shall see you all the same.
That's also really, really nice as well. We were listening to Motionless in White's new album yesterday over on Twitch. And if you want to, the full thing is available to my members on Ko-fi. If you'd like to see the full, like we were talking about it for 2.5 hours. It was mainly just me getting really excited at how utterly gloriously how camp it was. I know that but anyway, you'll have to watch it in order to understand why I think it's so camp. But that Chris Motionless often closes a lot of the songs with just, you know, the single voice. It builds and builds and builds and builds and then sucks down to just the voice. When the man behind the mask closes off the song here with it just being, we've done riffs, we've had the right hand working a little bit more on the piano to take us up and to give us a sonic dynamism in the song. Fucking hell, again, that's wanky. But then we get to,
I shall see you all the same.
I will shelter you all the same. It's like a nice little full stop period for the Americans. Just done. It just closes it off. So effortlessly, but also with reason as well. And maybe I can explain that more when we talk about the lyrics. So let's do it. So for those of you who have never watched any of my Sleep Token videos before, sometimes what I like to do is to take the lyrics and rather pull them out from their like melodic construction and look at them potentially as like as a monologue or a duologue, or sometimes talking about how they work with the melody, how sometimes they can just work as like a piece of poetry as well. So let's get into it. When it rains, you don't take shelter. You don't take signs from God. And when you can't swallow your demons, you become starving. Darling, I'm noticing your flaws. They're exactly what I want. Even if you won't believe me, know it. Ooh, fuck. Okay, right? I know this is a weird thing, but that know it gets me every time. I'll come back to that in a second once I fucking calm myself down. When it rains, you don't. You don't, right? First line, don't. Last line, won't. Just bear that in mind for a second. When it rains, you don't take shelter. You don't take signs from God. So evidence is presented to you, and even when it rains. And again, I know there are illusions and possible, you could talk about long form storytelling by the time we get to rain. Fucking hell. I don't know, in what, fucking 5 years, 6 years? When it rains, you don't take shelter. You don't take signs from God. Now, that's acknowledging, let's go back to the law for a moment, that's acknowledging there is a God. Now, up to this point, we've had the idea that has been presented to us that sleep is a deity that has fallen from grace. That is in the sacred text, it's in the interviews. And that perhaps it is the worship of this vessel. This vessel is carrying the weight for this deity. They are, by worshipping them, by spreading the gospel of Sleep Token, perhaps they are exalting this God in a new way. But we've never had, have we had anything quite on the nose that says you don't take signs from God? Firstly, God one would, I suppose, would lean into that being a Christian thing. Anyway, I realise that the gods and they themselves, from my perspective, and from I suppose a secular, formerly majoritarily Christian society in the UK, where Sleep Token are based, one would then be able to, I don't know, like deduce that perhaps it's from that perspective. So when it rains, when the skies open, when water comes down, you don't take shelter. You don't take signs from God. That kind of creates quite a vision of somebody who is a little bit bohemian, a little bit free, a little bit more open than perhaps the protagonist who is singing this song is. And when you can't swallow your demons, you become starving. Now, as somebody, and I'm being very honest about this, who has had previous problems with substances, etc., and I am aware of many of the connotations within Sleep Token's catalogue towards substance abuse, potentially substance misuse at least. When you can't swallow your demons, makes me think of certain things, what your demons could be. When you can't imbibe the thing that demonizes you, you become starving. You, Jones, you. That is a flaw. That is scary. That is dependency. And this song isn't about dependency. Darling, comma, I'm noticing your flaws. I am being so bold that I may say that I know you're imperfect. And it's almost, I'm noticing your flaws. In brackets, imagine that this was here, and I don't care about them. In fact, I rather love them because they're exactly what I want. I know that's hard to believe. So even if you won't believe me, won't, which is a conscious choice, it's not don't, first line. Even if you won't believe me, know it now. Oh, fuck. I don't know why this line bothers me so much. It makes me think of like Brecht. It's Shakespearean, but it's also it's a bit biblical. Know it. That is such a fucking powerful thing to say. Know it. That's like, that makes you're saying that with your fucking chest. But there is a sensitivity to it as well, because even if you won't believe me, know it. That's one of the most beautiful things. I think if you are struggling and you are seeking shelter, for somebody to say, hey, I know this might be rough right now, but and you probably don't believe me, like a dog that is in a shelter that has never felt love from a human being, and those fucking angels of people who go in there and try and build a relationship with them by constant care and affection and attention. You have to relearn how to be in that relationship. So even if you won't believe me, know it. It almost feels like you could, go, I'll toddle off, I'll be back later, whatever you need, let me know. It really does feel really powerful and almost biblical, almost like God speaking to an extent as well. And as you become part of my waking rituals, I can tell, you gather up all of my demons. You become starving. Darling, I'm noticing my flaws, and I'm matching them with yours. gets me every time, man. Won't you take me where you're going? Won't you take me where you're going this time? So, oh fuck, it's really quite heavy and really quite beautiful. Not heavy's not right. It's beautiful. It's really, really emotional and beautiful. And because we know Vessel loves, the man behind the mask loves to say "and" at the beginning of a line. And as you become part of my waking rituals. Now, this is the first time that we bring in, I suppose, the ritualistic nature of this, as you become part of my waking rituals. So, waking rituals. I wake up in the morning. Here's things I do. I brush my teeth. I comb my hair. I have a shower. I feed the dog. As you become part. So. It is, and again, I can't, and this is just, again, complete bollocks, but this is my interpretation. And I'm not saying that it's right, I'm just saying that it could live beside yours. Everybody will have a different interpretation of this. But because of my relationship with Artie as well, like Artie's a rescue, I've had him for 6 years now. I had to build a relationship with him. He became part of my waking rituals. And while I know this is probably written about a person, not one of, my a canine chum, but as you become part of my, this is progression. This is happening again and again. So you're becoming part of it as you become part of my waking rituals. One could also argue that this doesn't necessarily mean that person is present. Let's just say the protagonist is singing this song, the antagonist here, the person that they are singing this about or it influences them, it doesn't necessarily mean that they're there. You can be a part of somebody's waking rituals without being present. You can think of somebody every time you wake up without them actually being there. But as you become part of my waking rituals, I can tell you gather up all of my demons. So it's as much as the offer here is from the protagonist that I will shelter you, potentially there is, but you're gathering, you're doing work in the dark here. You're gathering up my demons and then still become starving. Darling, I'm noticing my flaws. It rather alludes to that by being in a relationship, whichever this relationship is, however they are becoming part of their waking rituals, that the protagonist here is saying that because I've noticed your flaws, now I'm noticing my flaws and I'm matching them with yours. This is another reason why shelter exists in a kind of microcosm here, because that's a very healthy thing to do, is it not? To take, okay, I can see yours, I'm noticing mine, and I'm matching them together. That not acid, not alkaline, not that black, that coming together of, again, we can go into the Jungian kind of like shadow work element of this as well. The coming together of two things that are fundamentally flawed to become greater than the sum of their parts, potentially. Again, could just be talking bollocks. Won't you take me where you're going this time? Now this, there's a lot, particularly towards the end of This Place Will Come Your Tomb, and I think probably more predominantly in Take Me Back to Eden, the album, that there is often allusion to, won't you just let me go or take me with you? Put me up. What more do I have to do for you to take me on this journey with you? And so, won't you take me where you're going? ... This time? Question mark. So it's happened before. So even when you've, again, let's just paint a kind of, I don't know, like a dramatic picture here. Even though our protagonist is sheltering, is trying to protect the antagonist that doesn't take signs from God and dances in the street while lightning crashes around them, that they go somewhere else. And it's kind of like our hero, for want of a better term, is saying, won't you, I'll come with you this time. Why won't you? I'm not scared. You've swallowed your own demons. You've swallowed my demons. In order to shelter you, I have to eventually go into that dark place with you where you keep going. So won't you take me where you're going this time? Like building trust again, to go back to the dog shelter, the kennel mentality of the repetition. Eventually one has to succumb, whether it be from the antagonist's perspective or the protagonist's, that will you take me where you're going this time? Is this going to be the time where you finally let me in fully? And no matter the cost of rain, I will shelter you all the same. So no matter the damage, potentially, the storms, the floods, the cost of rain, which, by the way, of course, looking at the breakdown of what rain can be. Rain can be cleansing. Water can be cleansing. Water can be biblical. It can be fucking baptism. John the Baptist just dunking bastards. And so Jesus goes off to do some things. First thing he does is see his cousin John the Baptist. John's mental. He's brilliant. John's just grabbing bastards. Just get in here. You're baptized. Got to clear the way for God. God is on his way. John is a messenger. He believes that he's clearing the way for the coming of the Lord, and he's dunking them like they're rich tea biscuits. Just some of you will remember that video. There's levels of washing sins away in Rain, and once we get to the song Rain, of course, there's numerous different ways that can be interpreted. From a sexual element, from a healing element, from a dangerous element. But no matter, doesn't matter what damage is done, I will shelter you all the same. Doesn't matter how much it hurts me, I will keep you. I will try and protect you. One could lean into shadow work and Jungian psychology with that as well, but it is that act of selflessness. That's what you do for love. You do it because you want to protect, you want to save the other person. I'm not talking about a savior complex. It's far more subtle and authentic than that, at least in my opinion. Okay, verse 3, because if I don't turn this fan on soon, I'm going to fucking melt. And now and then, so every so often, I notice you laughing at perfect death. And then you change. Suddenly hollow. You become starving. So our antagonist is always going back to something where they seek more, where they are unfulfilled, where they are literally starving, whether it be for ... as allusions to stuff we've already mentioned here as well. And now and then, loves an and now and then I notice you laughing at perfect death. Now, I'd be really interested to see what you think, and please do put it in the comments below, what you think perfect death means, because I've got about 1,000 different fucking theories about what perfect death could be, because the death of having just finished Jung's, I've forgotten the name of the book, the death of the ego, the perfect death, the idea that the death has to happen in order for individuation to happen. It's just what that death actually means. We can go all the way back to fucking like Nazareth and talk about, you know, the potential death that happened there. Was it the death of a previous vessel? Was it the death of a previous self? Did that have to happen in order for the protagonist to grow? I would just be really interested as to what your interpretations are of perfect death, and why our antagonist, now and then I notice you laughing at perfect death. Then you change, suddenly hollow, not like a hollow body and what it does, but suddenly hollow. You become starving. Darling, we must have met before. So we've gone from your flaws, my flaws. We must have met before. Now that's a beautifully puzzling line, because up till this point one can interpret this that the characters knew each other. Repetition, lots of times, you know, I've just been discussing all of that. Darling, we must have met before. Is this talking about another life? Is it multiverse theory? Is it talking about soul bonding? Is it talking about quantum entanglement? Is there something here which is so much bigger than just what a love song, just wanting to protect somebody? Darling, we must have met before, though I could not say for sure. Now that, I do think that in terms of the syntax here, it's darling, we must have met before, though I could not say for sure if we knew what we were in for. I mean, that's just so quintessentially Sleep Token, is it not? I couldn't, listen, we had no idea the depths. We had no concept of how far I would travel beyond the path of reason in order to maintain this relationship, to exalt you, that sends us off into a load of different kind of, like, you know, Charlie spider diagrams. That what are we in for? Because that is pretty grandiose in its nature there. And then, no matter the cost of rain, I will shelter you all the same. Right. So there you go, shelter. Not a forgotten song, but not half as discussed, in my opinion, as it should be. And maybe it isn't lore-based, and maybe it is a little bit of a, I don't know, a left turn in the discography. But cool. Anytime I hear Know It, it fucking gets me every time. Oh gosh. Anyway, you know how much I love this band. I think as I've said, the greatest piece of musical theatre I have never seen. I've already said thank you so much to all of my members on Ko-fi. Of course, if you want to join the discussions, as we have so often over on Twitch, where we get into this even more in depth than this on occasion, and it's not just this. We talk about music. We have lots of themed streams over there where we go dive into the noughties and the 90s and 60s and rock and roll, or even just individual bands. I'm on there about like 3 or 4 times a week, and thank you to everybody who is a subscriber over there as well. Like it's a fantastic time. And of course, thank you to all of my members on Ko-fi. And there is merch available as well. Of course, if the new T-shirt, it'll be the one front of the list, at the top of the page, rather, front of the list. You know what I meant. All of the profits from that will go to Shelter in the UK and the north of Ireland. So thank you in advance for anybody who decides to do that. All of the links will be in the description below. And indeed, if you want to give this a like, or you want to give it a comment, or you want to subscribe, you're very welcome. But you are indeed free-range humans. You can do whatever you want. So yeah, just thank you for taking the time to watch this. And I hope that Sleep Token brings you as much joy and takes you down so many wonderfully educational and musically, gosh, I feel like it's made me a better musician. I feel like it's helped me understand the English language better. I feel that there's a lot of wonderful stuff that Sleep Token has given me. So yeah, thanks very much for hanging out. The next time I see you will likely be the season premiere of This Place Will Become Your Tomb, where I will be going, gosh, I mean, this is long. Can you imagine how fucking long Atlantic's going to be? Where we're going to take a dive into not only Atlantic itself, the song, which I know is one of the most commented, one of the most anticipated Sleep Token songs that has happened, but also the gap between Sundowning Deluxe, where we are now, obviously with Shelter, and then where we were, what the marketing was, why the sea. Listen, I've spent a lot of time underwater recently researching This Place Will Become Your Tomb. Spent a lot of time in the Mariana Trench, or the Marinara Trench, depending on how many beers I've had. So yeah, that'll be coming up next. Thank you very much for watching all of these chaps, and indeed, I shall see you for the next one.